Welcome to Film Addict. I'm your host, the Film Doctor. Let's talk about what's coming soon. I'm so pumped to watch this trailer, Candyman. I remember being a kid and playing Candyman and being scared. It's no different from Bloody Mary. Candyman, wait, did I just say Candyman 3 times? How many times does one have to say it? God damn. Okay, let's jump right into it.
Candyman.
Okay, I'm man enough to say it. About 3 drops of pee came out, okay? I counted them as they dripped out. That was such a really well done trailer for a horror movie. Like, I'm terrified more in that trailer than I've been in any horror movie that I've seen in a long time. That was just so good. It says the screenplay is by Jordan Peele, so I think that's the extent. He's not the director, but he is the person that wrote the screenplay for it. I'm excited. The music in that, Beyonce, Say My Name, and how dark they made that. So good. The cinematography, I could go on and on. That was an amazing trailer. Especially for a horror movie. So good, so well done. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that does not disappoint, that the movie is just as good, if not better, than what I saw in that trailer. Let's talk about new releases. So, the movie that I saw, I was actually looking forward to, is called Invisible Man. To me, it's like a modern day Hollow Man. If anybody has ever seen that movie with, I think Kevin Bacon was the main character inside of that. This movie was so... It was good. I wouldn't say so good. Let me rephrase it. It was good. The only thing that bothered me is how slow it started. And some of the plot holes that were in there. Like things that weren't more clearly explained or explained in depth. But when I think about it, I can't even hold that against them because it was already such a slow starting movie that if they would have taken more time to explain certain things, that would have just dragged it out even more. So for what it's worth, I think that movie was really good, okay? Not good enough to give it an A minus, blah, blah, blah. Just because I think as moviegoers, you guys will shut it down a little bit. For certain things, whatever the case may be, oh, it wasn't that scary, whatever the case may be, you know how you guys are. But looking at it from your perspective and from mine, I would say it's good enough to watch, good enough to call it a B+, okay? I love Elizabeth Moss. I love her inside of The Handmaid's Tale. Somebody put me on to game about that show. I was like, I'm not about to watch The Handmaid's Tale. I'm not. What I look like watching Handmaid's Tale. When I tell you I watched this show and I was like, this shit the greatest show I've ever seen. Like the cinematography, the music inside Handmaid's Tale was so good. And I don't want to get off on Handmaid's Tale, go off on a tangent on that. More so than talking about Invisible Man. Elizabeth Moss, inside of this movie, gave a performance in such a similar aspect as Handmaid's Tale. The music, whoever directed this, I can't pronounce his name, but whoever directed this, the cinematography and the music was well done. Like the scares, the scares really impressed me because it's more than just like the usual horror scares where they play like a really loud horror sound and try and get you because something jumps out and you kind of always see it coming. You don't need see it coming. No pun intended, because it's Invisible Man. Get it? You don't see it coming. But this movie, I think, had all the great aspects from cinematography and acting. My only gripe was the backstory and some of the things not being explained as well as they should have or in depth. All in all, like I said, it's a good enough movie to say B+. I recommend it to everybody. I intend to buy it. It's such a unique story. Just from what I saw inside the trailer, it wasn't what I was expecting to see as a movie. So I saw it as a trailer and I'm like, oh, it's going to be this invisible man who's trying to kill her. But there's so much more to it with like the connection between who this guy is and how he's invisible and whatever the case may be and the stuff that he was doing. So dark, I can't tell you how many times I was in the movie theater with some shit popped off and my jaw just dropped. I'm like, oh snap! Like, that's the kind of movie when it makes you feel something, when it makes you engage, when it makes you like react to it. Those are the kinds of movies that are good, and I think it really did that. It just had that slow start where it didn't do that at the beginning. But for what it's worth, it was a good movie. Check it out. It's called Invisible Man, Elizabeth Moss, B+ in my eyes. So let's talk about must see. The movie I'm going to talk about today on must see is a movie called The Next 3 Days. Now, this is not an independent movie. However, I think it's a movie that came to theaters that a lot of people were not really privy to wanting to see. It didn't have a lot of hype about it. But it was probably one of the best movies I've seen in a while during that tenure of time when it came out. It was a movie that I went into where I'm just like, I just see it, it looks kind of okay. And then when I see it, I'm like, this movie is amazing. It's basically, with Russell Crowe, it's about this guy whose wife goes to jail for murder. He doesn't believe that she did it, and he wants to prove that she's innocent, but he can't. Like, all the proof that surrounds his wife points to the fact that she did it. It's non-negatable. She killed this individual, and he just won't accept it. He won't accept it because he loves her so much, he knows her so much that he says, you know what, I'm gonna break her out of jail. So he's this average person. It's not like he works for the FBI or something. He's some special agent with special fighting abilities, and he's gonna go in there and end up fighting everybody and breaking her out on some big action-packed movie. This is just an average Joe individual who is trying to figure out how to break someone, his wife, that he loves, out of prison. What he does, how he does it, it's so smart, it's well done. I was like, bro, after I saw this, I'm like, if anybody goes to jail, I'm using all of these, because I can figure out how to break somebody out of jail. It's such a great movie in that aspect because it's such a good story that you never see before. When you see somebody break someone out of jail, it's like Jet Li or Jackie Chan. They got all these fighting abilities, and it's just an action movie. This was a drama that had that same kind of story of breaking someone out, but it was just an average Joe. And the story, I think the movie is about 3 hours long. So it had really good music. I don't want to say that the music was Hans Zimmer, but the music was really, really good. The cinematography really, really good. Specifically, a scene that comes to mind is when he goes to the drug dealer's house. Hopefully I didn't give too much away. And he puts up a fight with the drug dealer and the dog and whatever the case may be. And then, he's driving one of the drug dealers inside the car after that scenario. That cinematography was so good to me. I don't know how to explain it without giving too much away and getting into detail about it, but it's something that I have recommended to so many people. You have to see The Next 3 Days. It's something that when friends are over or a movie comes up in mind to watch, and I'm like, let's watch The Next 3 Days. You guys definitely need to see it. And they're like, I've never heard of it. And then I put it on, and they're like, that was so good of a movie. I think everybody would enjoy it. Good enough for me to say that this movie is definitely an A+. And I know that's a high rating to give a movie, but I think that is well deserved because the acting, the story, the cinematography, the music, everything was pristine, everything was perfect. It kept your attention. A lot of those movies that are close to 3 hours, I think it was 2.5, maybe 3, I don't really remember. It's a very long film, but regardless, a lot of those movies that are longer usually cause you to lose attention, and this didn't do it. From beginning to end, it's a little slow because it has to set up like she did this crime, this is the process of going to prison, yada, 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 but it wasn't even that long. It was 15, 20 minutes in, you're already invested. So in that consensus, I say that this movie would definitely hold your attention and be something that you will love from beginning to end, and it's definitely worth watching. A+ in my eyes. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me on Film Addict. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, email. I can't thank you guys enough for joining me here on this episode, episode 9. Join us next week on episode 10. And this has been another exciting episode of Film Addict.